Hello and welcome to Focus on Liberia. Welcome and welcome to this evening broadcast. We are broadcasting from our headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome to the show. The program you are watching is Focus on Liberia Spotlight. Focus on Liberia Spotlight is a program. We throw the spotlight on one of our own, somebody doing something extraordinary in meeting the needs of others, or somebody becoming a much better representation of our community by doing something gigantic, if you like. Welcome, hit the share button. We all heard that name Zogos. And I think we all now know what Zogo means. Zogo is a serious thing in Liberia nowadays. But what is being done about it is the question that we, or as a community, uh, have not been able to answer. There's somebody who has ventured into the critical area in our community to provide some help. He is here and seated. How it all started, he's going to tell us. What he's doing, he's going to tell us. Welcome. Well, before I can welcome our guest, let me bring in Dennis Baku Kenguja. Mr. Ja, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
It's my pleasure to be here to discuss the very serious issue that is happening in our country, especially since the cessation of hostilities in Liberia. That is, the people that we now refer to as Zogos. Some see them as criminals, substance abusers, and all the 9 yards. But again, we talk about the issue. It is something someone say we are all Zogos because the situation has come to a place now that we all have to do something about it. Else, our country, the way we know it, will be no more. So I'm glad to be a part of this broadcast tonight. Somebody who saw the need did not sit on his hands and decided to do something. So I'm glad to be here, Mr. C.
Thank you, Dennis. I'm glad you joined in to talk about this. Our guest is somebody who is a member of our community who saw this problem and said, I'm going to do something about it. I will welcome our guest for today, Leemue. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. It's good that you are seated and ready to talk about this serious subject.
Thank you for having me.
All right. A little about our guest. Leemue is the founder and CEO of the Koimene Impact Foundation. Furthermore, he is an entrepreneur and also a philanthropist who look at this area, this issue of Zogo, and has decided that he's going to do something about it through an organization that he helped to fund. Again, dear brother, if I can pull in the Liberian language, it's good that you are here to talk about this. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having
And
me.
how you doing? How's the family? COVID-19 is like, I don't know if we are out of the woods yet. How you doing, by the way?
I'm doing good. Just a little bit tired, jet lag. I got in from Liberia Friday night. But I'm glad to be back with the family. It's been a long 2 months away from them, so everybody missed me. So, but it's part of the sacrifice that they have to endure for having someone like me who has Liberia at heart. So,
Thank you, thank you. And you say you just from Liberia, I know. So I think all the accounts you're gonna give here will be meaningful, to those who are listening right now. Again, we can express how happy we are that you are here. But before we can get started, anything more other than your name, your role with this organization that you wish to share with your fellow Liberians listening to you?
no, actually, that's all they need to know. They'll hear the rest throughout the story.
Okay,
Uh,
thank you. Well, folks, we have been in conversation with Leemue, who visited Liberia, and we're going to share to you what was said is written on his institution's website. It reads, and this will start the conversation. During a short stay in Liberia in 2017, Leemue's cell phone was stolen by a gang member. The process of finding the phone took several hours of driving through ghettos, slums, graveyards, and many deserted areas. The sight of a young mother smoking heroin while breastfeeding her newborn and many youths lying unconscious from drug overdose was devastating. Following this event, Leemue developed a relationship with many of the drug addicts, which inspired him to help. Dennis, I read that and too many things were going through my mind. But hey, who can better explain to us this experience other than the gentleman who did experience that? Talk to us, Leemue. What happened?
Yeah.
What did you see? Mm-hmm.
Man, that I was exposed to a side of Liberia that no one talks about.
Mm-hmm.
Often when you tell people you want to go visit Liberia for the first time, or people introduce you to Liberia, they don't tell you about the youth that's dying, or the population that's on drugs, or they usually tell you Liberia is a place to go party and go hang out and you can have fun. And so for me, to be introduced to that population was it was mind blowing. I'd never seen things. I mean, I have been involved in drugs in America. I've seen ghettos. I've dibbled and dabbled in different sort of lifestyle, but to see it this prevalent in a country as small as Liberia was it was mind blowing for me. I I think the one thing that stood out to me that day was I kept telling myself this could have been me, or this should have been me. I became immediately grateful that that my parents had the opportunity to fly me out or go through the immigration process, and the narrative was interesting.
So, Mr. Koimene, and I want to be very distinct with that pronunciation. uh, let's go back a little and say, in fact, when was this? That was 2017, you said?
Yes, 2017. Yeah.
17. So, what was surprising about seeing people, which you became victim of? What really was that your first time going back since you came here? What was different about that trip besides snatching your phone?
Yeah, that was the first time going back since about 96, 97, possibly. And when I left, I was a child. I mean, I left Liberia for the first time 89. I was born 1980, 88. When I went back, it was 95. When I left, it was 96. So my entire experience in Liberia maybe covers a span about 2-3 years. So going back to find heritage and going back to see the place that my mother and father talked about, walking in the streets, walking down to Shock's Ice Cream, and this peaceful place that they portrayed was no more.
Wow. Okay. Let's again. I want to take a step back because we're going to be using language here tonight. We describe these people. We say Zogos. Is that how they are called in Liberia? And do you know where that word came from?
That's how they're called in Liberia. I don't know the origins of the word, but I personally don't like to use it. I prefer to ask each of these gentlemen and women for their names and call them by their names. I think part of the problem is that we have dehumanized them by giving them this terminology. So because of that, the stigma is still on them, and henceforth, it's difficult to get Liberians to come around to help with the problem because they don't see them as someone's child or someone's mother right there. They see them as just such Zogos. So no, I don't know the origins of that word.
And the next, if I may here, I'm curious. So it all started with a cell phone that was snatched away from you. You needed that phone because it meant a lot to you. There are a lot of information you had on it, and you no. What was going through your mind when you were making all that effort to get your phone? Did it not cross your mind that you were taking some risks? Talk to me.
No. So the phone was stolen about 2 o'clock in the morning. We're leaving Tinker Village and we're turning on Robertsfield Highway.
Right.
I reached in my bag to pull my phone out. He jacks it. I jump out of the window. We wrestle on the ground for a little bit. I chase after him. People tell me to stop. So we came back the next morning to that same area. We went to meet the local general, and general gave me two of his trusted men. He gave me one guy who.
Hold on, Leemue, when you say local general, what is that? Someone in the army, in the police?
No. So these ghettos are highly organized.
Wow.
Each ghetto, each borough has a general, has someone who's in charge of that area, and no crime happens without him knowing anything. He went back in that community, he goes and gets it. All the information he has with all the thugs and kids around him, he controls them. So if you want to find something, go back to where it's missing, find the local general, and he assigned someone with you. So he assigned with me a young man who, as a matter of fact, is a great friend of mine today. He named his son after me, S-Man. S-Man is how do I say, is ordained to go into every ghetto in that area and nothing happens to him.
No, wow. So how do you find this general? Where do they live?
They live in the community. Ask the people. We go around. When my phone was stolen that day, I went back the next morning, saw somebody walking. Hey, I'm looking for a local general. Who is he? Oh, he's so and so person. Go around the corner. Hey, looking for a local general. Is he? You keep asking, and somebody points you to the house. The local person that's in control. People know who they are, and they're willing to direct you down that path. I mean, this is a reflection on our law enforcement system, but I spent more money and more time trying to deal with the police than I did with these individuals.
Wow. So continue your story, because that was interesting to see that they have a general. And do they live in the ghetto too, that general, or he got his own house or somewhere?
He lives in a house in that community.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, he lives in a house in that community. So I went to him. They call him Chairman Jerry. I went to him and explained the situation. Hey, they stole my phone here last night. He said, well, it's going to cost you. I said, sure. How much? He goes, all right. I think it was like $100 for it. At that time, it was an iPhone 10, brand new. Besides the phone, I had my driver's license, my global citizen's card, my social security card. I had important information in the phone's case. So for me, those items were more important than the phone itself. So he assigned me to S-Man, and we started from one ghetto to the next ghetto, man. We went into about 16, 17 ghettos that day. The guys got in the back of my Jeep, and we just drove around. And as where that present time, the only thing I could think about was, how do I get my phone? But as God could have it, it was me literally walking around seeing destiny. For me, it feels like that day was the day I got called to something greater than myself. I would watch young men and women smoke and shoot up, and you see them laying on the side of the roads, and about 50 or so in one room just sleep. It's broad daylight, they're asleep. It was I don't even like to think about that day.
Wow.
Yeah, I want you to continue to share what you saw. I know you saw young men drunk with substances. In what we just read here, they were just in the corners. You saw a lady, breastfeeding a young baby, but she was high on heroin and all that. Anything besides?
That's what stood out to me the most, because she was pregnant. She was pregnant while breastfeeding, and had another child next to her. She was drinking what was seen to be a kind of brandy out of a plastic bag. They were selling at that time $50 LD, and she was smoking out of an aluminum pipe. And I remember looking at that and saying, that's 4 generations of Liberians who will be drug addicts. And for me, I was the only one who had a problem with that. Everybody else thought it was normal. And that was most alarming for me, is that the community thought that was was okay or normal. And
Mm.
when I frowned about it, normal,
How
right?
did you come to that conclusion that most of the community members there were like, well, these people, there's nothing we can do about them, and that they have turned their back? What made you to reach that conclusion? Did you not think that maybe they are helpless? They themselves can't even find it for themselves before they can talk about people who made some kind of decision that they may have considered bad decisions in any way?
Yeah. So I'm sure that part of the problem and part of the narrative is that a lot of Liberians themselves are struggling to make ends meet.
Mhm.
So that they don't have the time to recognize someone else is going through something like that. But
Okay.
just their attitudes and the things that, oh, I just Zogos, man, leading the point against smoke all the time, or the ideas that they push them away, or they stigmatize them. Um, those things are not normal to our Liberian settings, and I understand that we've been desensitized to some of the normal realities of life.
So Leemue, how do these ghettos look like, and how far are they from the community? I'm
Oh
curious.
man, they're not far at all. Some of them are right behind local markets. Some are right behind the entertainment centers. This place was maybe a 30 minutes walk away from Tropicana Beach, one of the entertainment places in Liberia towards that Painesville side. Um, they're in graveyards. They're in broken down houses. They're in dilapidated buildings. These ghettos are sometimes right next to churches. They're building makeshift homes in the middle of the community. They're not hiding. They're not hiding. They're right there. And that's one of the reasons why I think it's normalized, right? Because you can have your house right here, and you're looking at someone who put up a zing round house that sleeps about 15 individuals, and you have 100 people walking in and out daily doing drugs out of it. They're not hiding. They're in plain sight.
What was the demographic like? What was the age range and all that?
Yeah. They range from anywhere about maybe 15 years old to in some people in their mid 40s. I thought I saw some children even younger than that. So these are babies up to people my age, 35 years old.
Wow. Earlier, you said that from your experience with them, you see that they are well organized. They have leaders or heads who are referred to as generals. And you also said that the generals are aware of whatever any of them, or those in the community, right?
And
So,
Mr. Sear, not
like
just
the one who
organized,
snatched your phone. Come in, Dennis.
not just organized, but even more organized than the police. That's what he said. I want you to know.
Uh-huh. So the question I'm trying to ask is, the guy who snatched your phone, you were directed to this general who assigned somebody to you to go in the ghetto and get your phone. My question is, did he have to get proceed or pay from, because your phone was stolen, you have to pay some money to retrieve it, right?
Yeah.
So when whatever money you paid to this guy who stole it, did he have to give something to the general? How do they make their money in the general?
No, so I paid the general, and the general sent his people to get the phone. So okay, so the thing that blessed me that day is that the guy who stole the phone lived in that community.
Okay.
And when I wrestled with him, I remember that he had a hat and a white slippers on. So when they asked me how he looked like, I said, "Oh, he wore a hat." Somebody said, "Oh, that's this guy. He always wears hats because he had a sore in his head." So they'll say things like this, right? Don't blow serene your own terrain. In other words, don't steal in the neighborhood that you're from. So the reason why a lot of people don't get caught is that they will go to different communities, steal there, and bring it back to their community. So if you go back to that community and you say, "Oh, somebody stole something here," you can't find it there because the person who stole it is not from there. I got blessed that the person who took mine lived there, and I had details about where he lived. So on a regular, these guys will steal a phone and go sell it to a drug dealer for either drugs and some cash, or they'll find somebody who's looking for a phone in town and they'll trade it I mean, by the time we found my phone, it had made it to three people's hands, and it had been less than 12 hours. He already sold it twice. Sold it to the first person $50. Other person sold it around for $150. The last person had it. He got bad lucky because when I got the phone, nobody paid him back. It's left to him now to go get his money from people he gave it to. So I paid the general. The general paid his guys to go get the phone.
So
I,
you've been
I
able
like
to
this
talk.
thing, man. Don't blow terrain in your own terrain.
Yeah.
I mean, did you learn these things over time, or it was on that day?
I learned it just being around these guys recently, man. I learned it. Yeah, you pick up something that you pick up some things in hanging out, guys. You have to speak their language, right? So when I go back, no Siri straight colloquy. I'm simple. I'm wearing shorts, and I want them to accept me, so that they can understand what's really coming out of my mouth. That I'm not there to be judgmental.
I'm curious here. So you've been able to ask them, I would suppose, how they got involved. What are the reasons they are doing what they're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the stories they share with you for which they are in the ghettos and doing what they're doing?
Yeah. And you get stories from all walks of life. You have, I've met a 12-year-old young man who started when he was 10. You go to school and you have money during recess, and one day somebody said, "Hey, after school, come hang out with me." Instead of going home, you go to the beach, and a friend says, "Hey," an older friend said, "Hey, try this." You try it for the first time, and you get hooked. I had a man he was about 40 years old, worked with UNDP as a mason, and he would send his money back to his girlfriend. When he came back home finally on break, she had a boyfriend, bought land with the money, ran away, and out of depression, a friend said, "Hey, try this." And he smoked for the first time. It was laced with something. He's addicted. You have children who dropped out of school within the third, fourth grade, and you have adults who are trained professionals, people who are college educated, who bad situations. So part of the statistics so far that we've done, most of these individuals started drugs between 2001 and 2003. So they started drugs towards the end of the Civil War, right? Or sometimes between 2011 and 2013, between that the Ebola crisis. So in my research, every time there was a major strategy that happened in Liberia, it left a population of people either to fend for themselves without fathers, and left them vulnerable to drugs or substance abuse, or the other majority of people who just did it for peer pressure, being naive and not understanding what drugs does to your body, right? The first time you introduce a substance to the body is the highest you'll ever be. And then the rest of your life, you try to chase that experience. The first time it was one blunt. The second time you try two, you never reach it. So you try three the next time, you try four. And what they don't realize is that the more you try, the more your body needs the substance. And we don't have a sophisticated community like, bro. We have community centers or local clinics that are really teach about things like the DARE program that's teaching people in schools that drugs is bad and stay away from it.
So, Leemue, or is it possible that one of them is there who is not on drug?
In the ghetto?
Yeah.
I have not met one individual who's hanging out, who's labeled or classified as Zogo that is not on drugs.
What do you say?
Do you think that because most of the time the war ended since 2003, right? And what we hear most of the time is these were ex-combatants. Is that what you saw?
No, most of these kids, they would have been babies during the war. So these some are ex-combatants, the older ones. I've met a few of those, but the problem with Liberia's system is that they're recruiting people every day, and there are some of these kids who never experienced war. There are some of these children who are from good homes. Some of these people who are not from good homes and needed something and got recruited. I mean, we have all been victims of alcohol and drugs. I mean, we've all tried it. Addiction is real. Addiction is a disease, and when you live in a third world country that does not have the proper facility of education on even or don't even have the appropriate laws to ensure that even if the drugs are coming, that they're drugs that are purified, right? We have raw and uncut drugs. These kids are just mixing things that should not come through the border, what's coming through our borders.
And that's exactly what was my question. Like, where are these drugs coming from, and what are some of these substances that they use, and where they come from?
Yeah, they have all kinds of names for them. And you have cocoa, you have Thai, you have Russian white, you have Italian white. They're mixing drugs and mixing things that's coming. Most of it so far is coming across. It's coming from Nigeria. It's coming across the Sierra Leone border. These are uncut, pure substance that you don't know what they're mixed with. Some's mixed with fentanyls. You have some of these things mixed with horse pills. They're tranquilizers, man. There's this new drugs in the market now that recently got there. Once you take it, you defecate on yourself immediately. Yeah, these things are powerful. I think at some point in time, Liberia is going to have to be like Singapore, where we're not putting these drug dealers in jail. We're killing them. Because, man, we're a small population, and with the rise, with the increase of things like corruption and money laundering, and the fact that we're not paying law enforcement officers an adequate enough salary or even on time, these drug dealers are getting away with murder. They're killing our young ones.
And you were in the Monrovia areas, Monrovia and its environs, right? I don't know how far you went to see all these ghettos. Maybe are they also outside Monrovia, or what are some of the places?
Yeah, they're outside of Monrovia. So my rehabilitation center is in Burrillville. I've gone as for they're along that entire Brushra Island. You talking about Vatan, Claratown, Bonmines Bridge, Banjo, Burrillville, Moulton Corner, VOA Junction. They're if you can name it, they're there. I have a young
town, voila, they're everywhere.
They're there. They're everywhere. I have a young man right now who wants to partner with me, and he's in Carisburg, and they're there. There are people in Maryland who are reaching out. Hey, can you open a rehabilitation house here? Right? There are people in Ganta. They're everywhere. At this point in time, there is not a city in Liberia that you can't find them in.
Wow. So, Leemue, what have you come to know about their relationship with the police, the law enforcement?
What I know so far is that they have an amazing relationship with the police. I was actually shocked the day that we were looking for my phone. The young man in the car, he calls a local depot and says, "Hey, I want to speak to your commander." They say, "Oh, the commander here." So it's okay. We're coming there. Our boss man lost a phone. We want to check your inventory. Our beginner say you're shook then last night. We went to the local depot. The police officer comes out with all the phones that they took the night before from these young men who stole it. I'm looking through the phones. I don't see mine. And we get back in the car. I'm thinking, wait, this criminal just ordered the police to bring out their supply. Yeah. He picks up the phone again and calls the head of the depot and tells him to come back from home with the 10 phones that you took. The guy comes back. I go back there and my phone is not there. So we do have a lot of amazing law enforcement officers there and people trying their best to keep the law. But unfortunately, we have also a lot of people who are partners with these individuals. We were sitting there and the general at that time, as we're getting my phone, and the general looked up the police. They're acting like they're about to raid some of these ghettos. And Jared looks at me and says, "You see that? That's their show. They would never cross this line." Right? Is that while there are some law enforcement officers who are doing the right things, there are others also who need to feed their families, right? And unfortunately, there are some of the ones some of the same ones who are keeping this narrative and perpetrating this same disease going in our communities. That so some of the kids will tell you, man, they buy their drugs from DA agents.
Right. And that was my question. What do they get those police that are collaborating with these criminals? What do they get?
Money. I mean, you have some of these drug dealers. Some of these guys have never seen $5,000 before in their life. You got a drug dealer that says, "Hey, allow me to push drug in this district, and I'll give you $5,000." Right? His $250 salary didn't come in this month. He has a baby at home and a wife to feed. He has to put a uniform every day and still go to work. I mean, we in order for us to have some sort of law and order in this country, we have to increase pay so that it's enough to make sure these guys are not corrupt, and also pay them on time. It's just a sad reality.
Wow.
The problem is a compounding issue.
Let's come to
folks in cyberspace. You are watching Focus on Liberia. I'm Anthony C. along with my partner Dennis Ja. We are in conversation with Leemue, a Liberian who is now in Liberia in the critical area. He is helping to save Zogos, as they are referred to in Liberia, people who are on these dangerous substances. He's on a mission here to see how he can help to save them. He had an encounter with them, and what he saw shocked him, and he felt that something needed to be done about it. So let us come to your organization. So you had the experience in 2017, and you decided to intervene, and you started your foundation. Where are you now, and what are some of the work that you are doing to help these young people?
Yeah, so we started a foundation in 2020 officially, but prior to then, I was just doing feeding and hanging out with these guys, right? And then 2020 went back to take my grandma home for good, and fed about close to 3,000 young men and women in the Brofield area. And while leaving one of the ghettos, the young man looks back and say, "Is that it?" So I look back at him like, "What do you mean? That's it?" He goes, "Man, the food was sweet, the juice was good, but like, what else you get for us?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" As a matter of fact, he refused to take pictures with us that day. And I said, "Why?" He said, "Listen, because last year, I think Winners Chapel, he says a church went last year, took pictures with them and played football games, and the church got $2 million and they never saw them again." So I said, "Okay, what do you want? What do you guys need?" And it's out of a conversation with about 15 of the local leaders, the local drug leaders, that I founded in the nonprofit. We brought them to a table, we sat down, and they just expressed what their people needed. We need medication. We need food. We need. Some of us want to change. Some of us want to be educated. Some of us want to trade. Want to get out of here. We need a place to stay. And we started doing training every week. About 200 to 300 people would show up every week, and we had to scale down because we realized that we were just feeding them and counseling them, and they would go back to the same setting. And I didn't have enough capital at that time to build a rehabilitation center, or we didn't have enough capital at that time to relocate them out of their current environment. So we scaled down to 15 men. And out of that 15 men, 9 of them now have been fully rehabilitated. We just opened a home 2 Saturdays ago. We dedicated our first home in a local community, and we provide weekly counseling. Few of the young men they never went to school, so Ben is in school. The other ones, they made it through school. They're adults, and they don't want to go back to school. So they say they want to teach them trade. So we're working on teaching them trade and working with local professionals to if you're a mechanic and you're looking for somebody to work with, we're assigning them. As a matter of fact, we're looking to build to start a block factory so that this facility can be self-sustaining. The vision of my nonprofit is to someday have a large enough property where we have a facility that I can detox them, get them off the drugs, train, and then send them back into the workforce, whether it's farming. or just a way to ensure that they're productive and that they're functioning adults again.
So we see some pictures here that you share with us. What is going on here? What is this building? I see. I think that is a banner of your institution or something.
Yeah,
There.
so the building back there, this is the local church in that area, that the only one that that caught on to my vision and
Mhm.
agreed to have us host the training sessions in their building. And as
Okay.
a matter of fact, we went from hosting training sessions there to using this place as a sleeping place at nighttime when church is not in session for some of the children who say, hey, I can't go back to the ghetto. If I go back to the ghetto, I'll go back on drugs. So until we opened our house, we had to let them sleep in the church. So if you go back to the next picture, I'm gonna show you something real quick.
The
The
previous
picture,
one.
the previous one, yeah.
Okay.
So if you see, there is towards the left of the picture, there is a young man in the black pants with a blue shirt, and
Right.
he's next to the girl with the shorts.
Right.
Okay, that's Tamba. That was if you go to the next picture, Tamba went from being part of the drug, those who that we took saved, and he's on the top left,
Mhm.
and he's helping us recruit some of his very friends
Mhm.
in the same community that we took him out of.
Wow. Amazing.
So overall, Leemue, what is it that you're trying to accomplish here? Get them off drugs?
Not just that, because if we get them off drugs and we don't give them either a trade, education, and put them back in the workforce, then the mission has failed. Because they will start right back where they were before, lack of opportunity. So our mission here is as follow, right? We want to get the substance out of their system. We want to either re-educate or give them a trade, and then reintegrate them back in society so they can be functional members of society. Send them out with a trade, being able to go and fend for themselves. Whether they're carpenters, they can build now, right? Or the ladies, they able to do things like hair and then become beauticians, or they're able to become nurses, right? Teach them something that's going to help them feed themselves and no longer need to go back in the ghettos, especially for the women. We have 15 women right now, of which 3 of them are pregnant, and 2 of them have young babies. Even this young baby Phoebe right here,
Mhm.
that we have to find place for them soon, because unlike the men, the women have it worse, right? They have to rely on prostitution to get their drugs.
Hmm.
And before you, okay, go ahead with those pictures and see what else you can explain.
Yeah. That's it. These are the few that we have so far, Dennis.
So my question here, I know you talk about the Winners Chapel Church, but before you got there, what did they tell you have been tried by other people, organizations, and maybe government to help them?
Not much, actually. All I've ever heard so far from these guys was that Mind Program is not the first program to reach out to them and feed them. But unlike my program, I know last week some of the guys last week. So last week we went to go pick up the girls and take them to training. A local general was telling me, he said, "Man, you see that program there? That's the only program that I found hustle some of our guys that those guys are doing very well." So unlike other programs before, where we keep going back, we may not have enough resource, we may not have the facility, but we'll keep going back because we believe that someday we're going to have the resource, right? Someday we're going to have the facility. I mean, right now our eyes are on the youth camp in Bentall, and I'm trying to plead with the Minister of Youth and Sports and even whichever senator of Montserrat who can volunteer that facility to us, right? We'll take that. That facility sleeps over 750 individuals. It has a training facility on site, a housing for staffing, and it's not being utilized right now. So we're looking for areas that are large enough that we can maximize our potential, train, get them off drugs, and send them back in society as functional members.
Right. Still talking about that, in our local, in Liberia, they say when they go into bury hunchback men, you follow them to see, right, if you have hunchback. So let's say the programs that were tried and maybe failed, do you know why they failed and what are you doing to prevent your program from following suit?
Yeah, they failed. One of the major reasons that they failed because they were unable to provide shelter, or they were unable to remove these individuals from their community. And part of our program is that we realize that our program will not work if we don't get them out of where they're from. Because the truth is, my program failed when we first started. Right, we would counsel and feed two, 300 of these individuals every week, and wasting money and flushing them and trying to flush their systems with drugs. And what I realized is that I would do all that work and send them back to the ghetto. Right, so the reason why I put a pause to my program and I scaled down was to see if I can control a small group. And then once we get that small group, when I transfer the small group into a home, um, how successful the program will be then. So, where we've made it through the experiment phase, this thing doesn't work if you don't have a place to host them. You don't have a place to monitor them. You don't have a place to keep a consistent eye on them, right? Because even within the first 2 years or so, they're still going to find opportunities to go and use drugs again until you can keep them occupied and busy and reveal to them that there's something else in life that's greater than drugs. Because this is a lifestyle, man. Some of these people have been on it for 15 years. You can't take somebody who's done something for 15 years and think they're gonna be free in 6 months.
I mean, this is amazing, and people keep asking for your contact. So, someone watching this, how can they reach you? Let's start with that, so that the question keep coming.
Yeah, so you can go to our website, kifafrica.org. That's kifafrica.org. There is you can send me a direct message right off of there. But if you also want as well, you can give me a call, 267-285-3260. That's 267-285-3260. And that's strictly for business. Don't call me and tell me I'm cute, because I've had that happen before. I'm taken with two beautiful children. I don't need any more stress. So, for those of you who are legitimately, we want to help out and you really want to join the campaign, kifafrica.org. You can contact us there, and you can contact me on my number as well.
And the number is 267-285-3260.
Yes.
Yep. So this is the website, folks. You can go there, and if you click on contact, the contact number right there on the screen, as you can see, and there's an email address too. So there are so many options there for you to reach him.
So, Leemue, how you finance this? I know it requires money.
Yes, man. Most of this is financed by my family, man. And then we have about maybe 5 or 6 friends who do a monthly donation of $20 a month. Where this year I decided to go public because we're struggling. We're at a place where my staff they don't get a stipend. It's been 2 years now. Staff have not received stipend. I have a pastor right now who's been working tirelessly behind this, that we can barely, pay his rent and his due this month, right? So we're at a place right now where we're trying to just reach out and we're not asking for much. If I can have 500 Liberians who donate $5 a month, that's enough to run my program for. That's enough to hit my yearly budget. Until
say
we
that
can
again,
scale
because
up.
I'm trying to. 500 Liberians giving $5 a month. That's 12 months.
$5 a month. 12.
That's $60 a year. That's all you need.
That's all you need.
I mean, $60. If you went to, if you have a family of 3, and you live in Georgia and you go to Chick-fil-A, you can run through that in a drive-through, and you are saying for $60, you are able to run your program for a whole year.
For a whole year.
And
that's lodging, that's feeding, that's stipend, that's medication.
Counseling.
That's counseling. That's all what it takes to run this program. And this year our budget is going to be about $30,000, and as we grow, it's going to increase. And I'm hoping year in year out we have more support. But I mean, it'll be nice to have one person who can write that check. But being realistic, if we can have, small contributions, you go on our websites, you can donate whatever is feasible for you, and it comes out direct deposit, directly. It'll come out every month. We're also looking to partner with pastors and churches. If we have 100 Liberian church or any church that's willing to give us $100 a year, we're not asking for much. Just the power of numbers.
All right, folks, there you have it. You can go on your website and you can make your contribution. You see the donate, icon right there, and you can make your contribution. I'm curious about your plans. I like what you said, right? That you want to have a place that when you take them from the ghettos.
One second before you go to your question, because I want
to
emphasize this a little more, right? Because 500 Liberians, I know in just in the metro Atlanta area alone, Georgia, we are about 30,000 Liberians. You are only asking for 500 of us. Even Ben Salem, where you live, you can get 500 Liberians.
Yes.
Each paying $5 a month. So how do we do this? How can someone sign up to donate $5 a month as a Liberian?
Yeah, so the easiest way and the way that's most convenient for them and myself is to go to the website. You go to the website and you can hit the donate tab. It's a really big one, right? And you can hit reoccurring giving, and every month your $5 will come to me. Or if you say, you know what, I don't have to pay for the $5, you can go on the same website and submit your $60 one-time payment. Or if you don't like online payments, give me a call. I'll send you documents through the mail, or we have Cash App. That's the cash sign LBK88. You can also Venmo me on my number. So we take all sorts of payments, and everything will be and even better for those of you who are business owners or individuals who believe in taxes. We're a 501c3 registered organization, so we do give your yearly report, and you can claim all your proceeds on your taxes if you like.
Cash App $LBK88. That's it, right?
Yes. And if you don't have the cash, or you don't trust them with the cash, we take rice, oil, whatever else that you find fit.
Palm nuts. Mr. Suni, one more thing I want to ask, because you talk about flushing the. I give you an example, right, with these drug users. We have a lady here who we interview. She's a gospel artist now, Miss Anita Wanti. She was in the ghetto for 4 years on drugs, and now she's clean. So she's singing, and she was here. I mean, her story is just amazing. I contacted her this week, last week, and what I found out is she is sick. She has not been eating, and when they took her to hospital, they said even though you left the drug, but the drug is still in you, and so she has not been eating for months, and so she's getting skinny. So what the hospital did was for her to take her back to the rehab so they can flush out the drug.
Yeah.
Is that common from what you see?
Yeah, it's very common, especially in a setting like Liberia, where we have to quit cold turkey. Is that when you quit cold turkey, is that you don't adequately flush all the toxins from your body. Mm-hmm. So we do a hybrid cold turkey, right? You quit cold turkey, we're no longer using the drugs again, but we gave them drips for about 7 days to ensure that we take all the toxins out of their bodies. So you have to do a balance of it. Because believe it or not, the body still holds all these materials for years in your system.
Hmm.
Mr. Sear, there are comments here we want to.
Yeah, let us go to the comments. There might be a lot of questions there too.
Yeah, someone asking for cash out, which we show already.
Mhm. This one from Dr. Pajibo. Old men declare wars, but it is the youth who fight on the battlefields and suffer the after effects of war, such as joblessness and chronic substance abuse. No one is absolved from problem.
From blame.
Um, sorry, from blame. Um, like yeah, from Morris here, social programs are a necessity in any developing nation. A lack of funds, the lack social political will. Thanks to the guest for his efforts, but it will take a lot more resources to make it happen, and that is why we are saying contribute your $5, and you are right about that. Dr. Pajibo again. War involves in its course train of unforeseen circumstances, oftentimes beyond human imagination. Certainly, there was substance abuse in Liberia before the war, but not at the scale we see it today. It has reached beyond flexible limits. It is the duty of those who invested heavily in the war to invest even more heavily to rehabilitate these so-called Zogos.
And Mr. Koimene, I want to make sure my palate is good, because I really devoted time to this when I was in Guinea, Bamakama. So I want to show this off. Dr. Patrick raised a point because when we were young in Monrovia going to school, these things existed. I learned of a place called Terminal Island around the Freeport, where even if whatever got stolen from you, if you went there, there was a general. And so these things have continued in Liberia, but they've been exacerbated. And now you said that anytime there is, or any of those life-changing event in Liberia, it is producing more of these people, the one we call
Yeah.
Togo.
So here are a few numbers I want you and your audience to hear, right? And
Okay.
these numbers are coming from two articles that I found. The one article is from social and economic impact of illegal drugs. It's an article done sponsored by the UN, and it was written in 2016. There's another one is a research paper from a Yamadoro from Merrimack University, and it's the policy of substance abuse in Liberia, analysis and recommendations. And if you put the stats in both of those statistics, it says this: there are about 5.4 million people in Liberia, right? 54% of that population are between age 35 and 15. 60% of that population, they're either currently Zogos or they're using drugs. So these are the numbers. If those percentages are right, that means out of that 5.4 million people population Liberia, that means 2.9% of that population are between age 35 and 15. Not any younger, any older, just 35 and 15, right? That's 2.9 million people. And if 60% of that population that are already on drugs, right? That'll be about 1.7 million individual.
Wow.
So 1.7 million individuals, right? And the number could be more or less. Because it's statistic, right? 1.7 million individuals out of 5.4 million people are currently substance abusers. That's worrisome because between 15 and 35,
Yeah.
that's our future, right? So put it this way: the average young man in Liberia, if he's not a Zogo, he's a keke driver and a bike rider, right? So the question you have to ask yourself is, in the next 20 years, who are going to be the intellects of our society? If everyone is riding bikes or driving kekeks or either on drugs. Who are going to be the next presidents and finance ministers and those who can lead the country in the right direction, right? So this problem is literally snatching away the future of Liberia, and we're not exaggerating anything. This is it. You have currently right now you have more women in school than men. At some point in time, we're gonna run out of husbands for our daughters to marry who are Liberians, because it's killing more men than women, right? So, and they're becoming younger and younger. They're recruiting children at a younger age. This statistic that they didn't even go under 15 or over 35. They stayed right between 15 years old and 35 years old. That's just 20-year gap.
Leemue, you clearly understand the depth of this problem. Given the little you are doing and the complete nothingness on national level, right? Do you sometimes get a sense of who are we? That we see what our problem is and we don't care? Does that sometimes lead you to, you know what? I'm like in the middle of the ocean. There's nothing I can do. I just have a bucket that is even leaking. Do you get that feeling?
Yeah, I've had that feeling multiple times, man. I've almost quit a few times. I'm just blessed to have an amazing wife who always tells me to don't give up, right? I have that feeling all the time. I can easily stay in my corporate job as a salesman and keep my commissions, and she doesn't have to find a second job to fund this thing, and we can have an amazing family here, because it seems like every time you try to take 5 steps forward with this, you're always going backwards, right? Because even at the highest level of governance, there seems to be this level of don't care, or I don't think they really understand the magnitude of this issue. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think because they're overwhelmed with everything else that Liberia has, all the other Liberian problems. Liberia has a compounding issue, right? You have to worry about the rice issue and the gas and water and LEC and all the, and the market women and what people will eat, that they don't have the time to really focus on this issue. And the truth is, most of our lawmakers are already in their prime, right? You need young people who are sitting down and saying, hey, when I'm 40 years old, 50 years old, what will Liberia look like? Most of the people who are running the country are already there. They can't see any further because that's their reality. All right. And, I encourage every young person. It's the time is now. If you want to be involved in politics, do it now.
And finally, Leemue, from my end here, we Liberians, we don't do too well when it comes to contributing to effort like this. I'm sure you are aware of that. So you got to be looking into other areas, because from what I'm hearing from you, you have decided to devote your time to this problem. And I'm sure that if you depend only on us Liberians, to contribute, chances are that, you might get frustrated. Are you looking into other areas of funding?
Yes. So, I have proposals that's written for organizations like the UN and the EU and larger organizations. I've partnered with I know my company. I'm going to other corporate organizations that are donating in places like Microsoft, and we're gonna keep pushing. I'm gonna keep getting no's until somebody says yes. I'm aiming as high as I possibly can. I mean, we had the lady with the that Ellen give the building to, what's the young girl, Caitlin,
More than me.
More than me.
Yeah, more than me Foundation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And man, you had Ellen DeGeneres and Oprah Winfrey. They gave, right? She didn't give up. And I mean, I have that same personality. Well, I'm gonna keep going until we find multiple donors who are able to do so. Or I'm an entrepreneur. I'm going to keep going until I find a business that makes me a millionaire, so I can give back to my people the way that they need to be given back to. Sometimes we look outside of ourselves, and I want to change the narrative for my Liberian people. I don't like to say, "Oh, Liberian people." No. Our Liberian people can give, right? If a pastor comes right now and say, the Lord said they would do it, they'll give that the entire tax return to the local church. I want them to. Everybody wants to go back. Okay, put it this way: when I retire someday, I want to live in Liberia. As a matter of fact, give me the chance tomorrow, I'll move back. But I want to move back to a Liberia where I don't have to put iron gates to my windows or iron gates to my doors, where I don't have to build an 8 feet fence and put spikes all around. I want to live in a community that we don't have to worry about armed robbers every night or our children falling prey to the drug addicts. I'm sure every Liberian wants to move back to a Liberia like that. And the only way we do that if we have security. And part of the security is to ensure that our youth and our children are off the streets, right? And Liberian people can do it, man.
Yeah,
we're too many.
Yes, we can.
We're too many across the world. We can do it. We can build and rebuild our own nation. Huh?
Leemue, you put out some numbers, and I want to zoom in on that a little bit. You said there are approximately 5.4 million Liberians living today, including me. 54% or 2.9 million. 54% of that 5.4, which represent 2.9 million, are between the ages of 15 to 35 years old. 60% of those 15 to 35 years old, or 1.7 million Liberians, are Zogos or on drugs. I want our audience to let that sink in a little bit. And you asked a question, and you showed a picture where someone who is on drug has 3 children and is pregnant. So you are saying, okay, who's going to take after this generation leave? Because these are the people. So if you have some 17 or 1.7 million messed up, to even make that, to bring that home, you were born 1988. That's the year I graduated from high school, Monrovia College. So it means if I leave, you're going to be there. But if we go to Liberia, we don't see people succeeding. We don't see people coming after the current generation because 1.7 million and counting are messed up.
Messed up.
And they are making babies.
Yes, that's my point. They're making babies. They have babies and infants and children in those ghettos that are watching their mothers and their fathers shoot up, and that's their reality. And they will go down their mothers and fathers' footsteps if we don't do something about it. And that's what worries me the most.
And I'm worried too. Today we posted on our focus on Liberia, there is a 19-year-old who used an axe to kill his friend. Yeah. What happened? They said they fought. After they fought, he was whooped. So someone came, patted them, and they went home. 3 weeks later, his friend, some form of extended family member was sitting and playing with a little child, and he came from the back and used an axe and killed his friend. And he's just 19 years old. He's in 10th grade. He was convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment. He may not be on drugs, but these are some of the effects of the Zogos situation we're talking about. My question to you is, these people are in the community, but how is that ripple effect seen among regular people, like this kid using the axe?
Yeah, we don't have value for human life because we've not humanized people, right? I was in Liberia and I'm in traffic and I watched them burn a young man who they accused of stealing with tire recently in around what's the market? Omega Market. As a matter of fact, on 72nd and Boulevard. They beat the young man to death. Car ran over him in front of us. Right? These children have seen the disregard for human life and how we treat people, how we insult people. And so they don't care for human life as well. And if we're not, we have to be very careful what we see and do around children, because children are watching. 19-year-old, he's a baby. A boy hasn't experienced life yet. He hasn't truly developed, especially if he's a man. He's not really developed until you're about 25. What do you know about taking an axe and killing another man? All right? That's not normal.
Yeah.
It's not normal at all.
And what is not normal too, talking about the ripple effect, is report recently that we heard that some suspected criminals were chased, caught, and burned alive. And our fellow brothers and sisters, citizens, were standing there, they were taking pictures.
Yeah,
and it had appeared to them where it was normal to see somebody burned to death.
Yeah. Yeah. And these are some of the issues. I know there are some people who would say, "Oh, stop bringing up the war. The war have happened ever since." Is that these are some of the psychological issues that happens when you've gotten used to killing, when you've gotten used to death and seeing dead bodies. You become desensitized to some things in life. And man, our people need we need counseling. We need trauma counseling. We need psychotherapy, because we're doing things that's not normal. Our brains have been turned off to human reality. And there are some things that you don't really see until you come to develop where I say, "Oh, that's not normal." No, it's not normal. You know, it's not normal to watch someone being burned with tire and gas because they're accused of something. Where is the law? And maybe also people are tired that there might not be any law, that there's no justice. You put somebody in jail, somebody come and bribe them and take them out of it, right? So it's a compound effect.
Few more comments here. This one from Thomas Awaji. He's a fellow here, right here in Metro Atlanta. Very proud of you, my brother. Marshall Colley, thanks to Focus on Liberia for the diversities of presentation. I'm thrilled. Dave Ja, do you have information on the fatality rate of drug use? And he also said, congratulations on your efforts, brother. So we'll come to that if you have that number. Francis C. Wilson, we need to back the few and more serious people dedicated and determined to save Liberia's future. I'm so inspired by this young man. Let's join hands. Lawrence Powell, what role are the press or media houses playing in bringing awareness to public and draw attention of the government? And Thomas Awaji definitely needs your contact, and he said he is dying to be a part of your organization.
Francis here again, contact Feed the Children and Samaritan Purse and all those people who claim to love Liberia and love God. She's directing you somewhere to get some funding or help.
Thank you.
We gotta say, keep pushing, even if you touch one person. Dave again said one of the recommendations of the TRC was for those who benefited from the war and or the perpetrators to give to help the victims. Instead of supporting a program of this type, they are building private universities. Bartolomeo Vapon, no matter how many detox facilities can be built in the entire country, once the drug problem is not fought at the doorstep, everything else is in vain. Hell needs to roll, figuratively speaking. Stanley Thomas Sayon, this is so informative. Is the government willing to help your effort? Because this is our future as a nation. If the youth are being destroyed to drugs and nothing is being done to address this serious issue, then we are in serious trouble. Your response to some of the comments, Leemue?
Okay, let me read the final one here. The drug issues cannot be resolved without the enforcement of the drug laws. The government is the problem, that person writes.
So I don't
agrees.
So I don't have the numbers on the mortality of these individuals. The truth is that this area, has really not even been researched. I've only been able to find 5 or so articles that really have good quantitative research done in this area. Some of these individuals, when they die, they're buried by their friends the same day, or they're not taken to hospitals. Hospitals are refusing them. So a lot of the things are done in the dark. The one writer is right. All right, programs like mine will only be a band-aid over the problem if we cannot have some sort of if the drug laws are not enforced. And I go as far as saying that we have to change the drug laws, maybe be more stringent, like a Singapore, that we're offering death penalties to those who are selling them. Because with such a small population, we cannot afford to keep these individuals around. Just simple fact that we can't even keep them in jail, right? We don't know who's shaking whose hands and whose pocket is being aligned, right? You take these guys to jail and it's a waste of time. This nothing that I'm saying here is against the government, right? By all means, these individuals are government officials they're busy, man. I spent 2 weeks last week in the Capitol building trying to set appointments with even up as far as buffer chambers. I still have texts here from one of them from like chief of staff giving me the run around. Oh, we want your 501c3 number. We want your legal documentation. What do you do? Thomas Cy Joseph, right? He's the only representative, a government official who sat with us. He sat with us. He's willing to help. This seems so. You do have individuals who want to do something. The truth is, these guys don't know how. They don't know where to start. This is why you need individuals like myself who may have experience in certain areas or have passion and want to run with it. I'm willing to work with anyone. For me, this is just about saving the nation. I have the know-how. I have the passion. Some of these other individuals may not, and they're looking for ways to do it. I mean, I met with Senator DeLon last July and toured his rehab center. We've been in contact trying to see how we can write the training program for staffing, and there are other ways that you can partner and help people. And Liberia's problem is a compounding issue. And I used to be one of those who blamed one individual until you get on ground and realize that, well, wow, this can even be done on this scale. We can't even keep criminals in jail. How are we gonna stop the drugs from coming through our borders, right? And until we can stop the drugs from coming through our borders, man, this is gonna be me trying to waste water back in the well. It's gonna be just a revolving door.
Certainly.
Caleb Doma is working with this same population in Liberia. Do you know him? Mobile Zumo is asking.
I do not know him. I would love to get to know him, man. I mean, I would love to partner with every organization that's doing something this so we can have one information, seen statistics, and just save the nation together.
Some more comments here. Then is, oh my God, my Liberia, we only had weeds. Now, this dude just named about 10 different drugs. This is serious national security issue. If the government does not allocate funds in budget for this, it will hurt them.
Say it will hurt us.
Yep. It will hurt all of us as a nation,
T. Wega say, what isn't measured cannot be fixed. The country needs to start collecting serious data. And I think you agree, because numbers very important, that even God Almighty kind of gave one book in the Bible. He devoted one book in the Bible to just numbers. Where are the numbers?
Yeah, so I'm actually part of my trip in Liberia. I met with an amazing lady, Caitlin, Courtney, who is trying to help us with the National Institute of Health, trying to find a way for us to even start to statistic or start counting and getting more quantitative data. So these are conversations that's all in the work. We need fundings to do it. It means I'm going to have to take time from my family and work and 3-4 months just traveling Liberia and just getting this done. We're willing to do it. And everything that people are saying here, put it this way, we can no longer blame the government. because 80% of the government's resources goes towards salary. The remainder 20% can I solve all the problems that Liberia has to solve? At some point in time, we're going to have to roll up our sleeves for those of us who have the time and the passion. And some of us are going to have to go in our wallets and help those organizations like myself that's willing to help and aid the government in areas that they can reach. I've looked at this issue on a holistic scale, and I think the time is now for us to stop pointing fingers and blaming people and just get the work done. I'm at the place right now where I'm going to keep working until the government says, "Oh, they're beginning doing work, let's join them." And I think that's what's going to happen at some point in time, right? We're going to have to force their hands into helping us to starting the initiative. I'm not sure what the conversations are being had on the executive level, but I want them to see this and say, "Oh, let's reach out. Maybe he can give us some ideas and help." I don't necessarily. You don't have to use my organization. Maybe my organization might be the one that inspires change or inspires someone else, or there are multiple individuals who in Liberia who are doing this work on a small scale. I just happen to be blessed this year to reach out to have the right contacts and get on platforms like these.
Yeah. And Leemue, two questions I have. Let me start with the easy one. That is, while we talk about government, we also see the people, because people are excited to support a politician to become representative, to become president, and they will even make you a son. I don't think anybody has made a son for you because of what you're doing. How can we make what you do attractive enough so that people could say they could dance behind you like they are dancing behind a political leader?
Yeah, that I don't know. I mean, I'm not a marketing guy. Maybe somebody who's a viewer, understand marketing and how to push agendas like these. I'm just a visionary who knows how to talk about my people. I know how to talk about what's killing my generation, the future thereof. So my organization, we still need individuals who are professionals and can help with marketing, even website development or helping us push this message. Even if you can share this right here, you've just made someone else view this issue, right? If you can tag a friend in here, invite someone to hear the conversation, or you can copy my website down and send it to somebody else so they can look at it. You can go to your company now and just tell them about every company at the end of the year that they have money and they want to write off to 501c3 organizations or people with tax write-off, right? Just send them our way. Send them our way.
My second question has to do with the way we respond, right? Let's say they stole your phone. And so as citizens, we are forced to go and negotiate with criminals and even pay them money. So in a way, we are sustaining this enterprise because your situation is not different from other stories that I've heard. A friend of mine stole his laptop. He had to go negotiate and pay money. By doing this, by going to collaborate with criminals, pay them money, are we part of the problem or are we just helpless?
I think we're just helpless. Because I remember that day, I remember that night going home and calling my aunt. I said, "Hey, they stole my phone. I have to go to the police station tomorrow." She said, "Don't worry about it. You won't get it. You pay $150 to write the report. You get it. Police officer money. That's what come from inside." So I think we're at a place where we're helpless, right? We live in we have such a unique system that we have to go back to the very criminals to get to make things right. And in some cases, the law enforcement officers are in cahoots with the criminals. And I was glad that I went back to the criminals, because if I didn't go back to them, I would not have met my purpose.
All right, there's a comment here from Dave Ja. He said, "As a top fan of FOL and in FOL's name, please count me in as one of the 500 persons. My name is Dave Ja, and you can find him on Facebook, or we will give you his contact because we have it."
Thomas Awaji, I will do all I can to get people to be a group of 500 with $60 a year, Liberians and non-Liberians as well. That's Thomas Awaji. I have his contact, and he will contact you. Mapu Swa Mapu say, please count me in, Mr. Koimene. Please, I wanted to thank you and get in touch.
And Francis here, let's stop pointing out what is not being done. This is about what you can do. $5 a month be the change you want to see.
That is profound. The Caleb was Mamba talk about, his number is on the screen. And so even after the show, if you go down there, you see his number. That's 777. I don't like when they put the zero behind it. It's hard to remove. It's 777, 999, 111.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, 777, 999, 111.
There was a comment I want to, yeah, this is the comment from Otaka or Sugar Vaughn. Not just the disregard for human life, but a disregard for law enforcement and the lack of honest law enforcers, the police officers. All right, Dennis, I think we have gotten something for our audience to hear. This is a very, very serious problem. I hope the opportunity that has been provided to all of us here to hear from this brother who went in the ghettos, met them, and started doing something about this situation. We spark that, need in us to chip in and to also continue on to talk about this subject, because the more we talk about it, the more everybody will get involved. If we don't know about it, we don't know the gravity of it, we might continue to give it a lip service that it does not deserve at all. This deserves all the attention it can get, because this is about the future of Liberia, and our guest here lay it out quite clearly and succinctly. He didn't scare us, he didn't exaggerate. That's the fact. The few numbers that we read tells us that, no, the few numbers tell us that about 1.7 million are hooked on these drugs. And of that number, they are making babies. In the next 10 years, it will double. So if we don't remove them from this situation, we will have a situation or get into the situation we will not be able to handle. I don't think the future of Liberia should be Zogos. It has been predicted. We are on that trajectory. We have to reverse it. And from what I'm hearing from him, we need all hands on deck. We cannot rely on the government that is spending over 80% of its budget on salaries and cars and all that. We can't rely on that. We need to help save our country. Your $5 can save it. My $5 can save it. And we all have to do it. Dennis?
And we're talking about 500 Liberians, each giving $5 a month, is able to support his budget for an entire year, $60. And we can spend that sometime. And let me even suggest some ways to do this. Let's say you have cable, you have all these channels, you're only watching CNN and maybe basketball. You don't need all that. You can drop it down and save some money. And from that money, you can save a life in Liberia, because the numbers are scary. 5.4 million Liberians. We're very small people. We're not even equal to the population of Lagos or the population of Nairobi. This is a very small number. 2.9 millions of this population between the ages of 15 to 35. And of that number, 60% or 1.7 million are messed up in the head. And they are having children. And those children are having children. So by the time, within the next 20 years, the baby that Koimene saw will be the one snatching phones and doing all that if something is not done to arrest the situation. He is saying $5 a month, and you can cash out him the number $LBK88, or you can call him 267-285-3260. his website, www.kifafrica.org. And if you go there, you can click on the donate button, either by paying recurring payment or a one-time payment. You can do that. And all the numbers and the contact information are there. This is a scary situation, and it is not only in Monrovia, as far as behind Gorbike, all the way in the remotest part of Grand Cru or the remotest part of Bapulu, people are there that are hooked on drugs, and the future doesn't look very good. Thank you so much, Mr. Leemue, for coming and explaining this thing to us. I really, really appreciate your time.
You're welcome, and I want to thank you for allowing me to be on your platform, and thank you for all your viewers for their support in the future. We can do this. We can do this. I have hope and faith that believe that we can do this.
A few more comments before, and sooner you can close this thing down. Shuka Vaughn say it boils down to law enforcement again. There is no law and order. T. Wega say I really enjoy FOL informative, and T. I promise you, with everything in me, you can only get it right here on Focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberian. All these ideas are good, but the lack of good governance creates the atmosphere for criminals, murderers, and drug trafficking. Yes, all these things are true. Let's start doing something. $5 a month for 12 months can make a big difference. In continue, it is a shame the government can't properly maintain this. Yes, we can do something. Mampu say, I just email you my information. Momba say, count me in. He is even doubling that $10 monthly. And Cohen say, please post the information again. That's right there on the website. And the website is kifafrica.org. Here is his number. You can call him to discuss issues about this. Don't call him and say you killed like Dennis. 500 Liberians giving $5 a month. Or you can cash app $LBK88. Again, our listening, viewing public, we want to say thank you so much. Thank you very much. Even those who are going to watch later, don't just sit there, do something. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. And yes, we can, folks. This is how we will come to this very, very sobering edition of Focus on Liberia. And like Dennis said, our goals have always been so simplistic. We want to educate you about the things that happen in our community. We want to be able to promote the things that are good in our community. And this is one of the things that you are seeing today. The idea that we need to save this population of our community that is more like the future. We have to do something about it. And the program you watch today is called Focus on Liberia Spotlight. It is a program we use to throw the spotlight on somebody from our community doing something extraordinary. I have not seen anything so much extraordinary like this, saving lives to secure the future of a dying nation. This man is on a mission. All he's asking for is $5 a month, something that we all can afford. Can you do that? He's spending his time going to Liberia, going into the dangerous terrains to save Liberia's future. Some of you will go and follow politicians who are there for their pockets and not the future of Liberia as far as I know. But let me not get in my suit because today is not a day. Today is about talking about the Zogos of Liberia. Folks, this is how we'll come to the end of this edition of
Mr. C, sorry to interrupt you because somebody is trying to make us fight here. He said, no, he is cute like Ansoni, not you, Dennis.
See, I wanted to say it, but I didn't want to be too mean to you. Thank you.
And Hashmi family said, please add me in. And Ansoni, you know, anytime you call me, I'm at Wendy's, you know, paying for my 4 for 4, right?
Yeah.
And every time I buy 4 for 4, it's $4.82. that is 18 cents short of what Leemue needs.
Yeah.
For the next 2 days, I will not eat 4 for 4 so that I can donate that $5 to this project. I want to promise you that.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, folks. There is a song we got here that says we are all Liberians. Even the Zogos, as they are referred to, are Liberians. But they cannot be Liberians enough if they are not correct here because of what they do. They need our help. If they are not correct, Liberia is not correct. And we all must be on this mission because this mission is about the future of Liberia. So that song will take us home. And that song says, we are truly all Liberians, even the Zogos are. Thank you for watching and bye-bye.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.